Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Eyes on the Mise. My name is John. That's Ian.
Oh, hi there. What's up?
I forget which way you are from me on the
Your left side.
left side. There we go.
Yeah, you're pointing left this whole time.
Anyways, welcome to episode 117, I suppose, live on twitch.tv/Dix, where we are previewing our Modern Horizons card, as well as afterwards talking a little bit about some of the cards that have been previewed in between our last episode and today, which is May 28th. Some of the other cards that have excited us.
Yes, and also hi to the chat. Hello.
Hi, chat.
Yeah, in the future you'll be there. So people are asking already. There's going to do a quick aside. Yes, we will be tweeting this live on the Eyes on the Mice Twitter account. But so now we've done this. John, you ready to show the people the card?
Yeah, let's go ahead and show them kind of what's going on.
All right, here we go. Wait, hold on.
That's not it.
Are you sure?
Pretty sure that's not it. That's from M19.
Oh, right. Hold on 1 second. How about the? Is it? Did we get there?
No, that's from Magic Origins.
Hold on.
That's still not our preview card.
Hold on.
Where'd the file go, Ian? We didn't lose it.
1 second. Let me hold on. What the? You know what? Let's show the people the art.
Okay, because I know that some people will be really excited to see some amazing
Seb McKinnon
art. Yep, Seb McKinnon did the art for this card, and it is fantastic as per usual. And actually, we may get Seb's attention for just a couple of minutes so that he can answer a couple questions for us. He also did an amazing interview with Vorthos Mike and Ant Tessitore of Snacktime Podcast over at CoolStuffInc.com, which you can go ahead and find at CoolStuffInc.com. And also, if you go to eyesonthemise.podbean.com, you will see a post with a short interview with Seb McKinnon for our card.
Yeah.
But the first thing that I kind of want to talk about is kind of why I think we got this card in particular. And with the art up, we can kind of, I think, do this.
Okay. Did you want to do like one or two questions that we asked Seb?
Sure. Like one of the questions I wrote down for Seb was, how do you feel about the wave of popularity regarding your art in the Magic community? And his response was, I'm just happy the fans and players are enjoying what I do. I owe the community of Magic so much. Thanks to them, my dreams are becoming real. All I can do is try to continue to create the best art I can for them, for the game, and for himself too.
So when he mentions all of his dreams are becoming real, if you didn't know and didn't watch the Ristic Studies video by Magic Man Sam about Seb McKinnon, Seb does videos as well. He actually creates film, short videos and stuff like that. And he uses the proceeds from all of the Kickstarters that you guys have. Once it's past everything it takes to make it, everything after that, he goes straight to his own video production and music. And I even asked him about something regarding that. So it's something I asked something touched upon in Sam's video essay on your work. He mentioned you compose the score behind your Kin Fable shorts. When creating your Magic pieces, do you simultaneously think of music that would pair with the art? And Seb answered, no, it's actually more the other way around. Making music conjures images within me. When I paint, I usually need to work in silence because if not, my mind wanders away with the music. So it's really kind of cool to see somebody who works with both film and painting and music and see because some people, they'll need all of that together. Seb needs it separate.
Yeah. So. I'm someone who sometimes if I'm listening to music, it's hard for me to work on something else, or if I'm watching TV or whatever. So.
Oh yeah.
I understand that.
But yeah, so again, this is just some absolutely incredible artwork. The minute I saw this, I was just like, this is so cool.
It is very cool.
Yeah. So
redheads, yo.
Yeah, right. More redheads in Magic. Somebody get a mana curves on the line. Chase will be on this one. So, all right, let's go back to this since we teased you kids at home with this artwork. For those of you who are tuning in via the podcast, we apologize. Actually, we'll give you a visual description of it. It's a knight on a cliff, kind of bowing his head on his sword with a bloody tip on it, and an angel with a blazing sword just kissing his head. I don't know. Just go look at the card. What card is it? Well, it's called Answered Prayers. It's white enchantment at common. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. If Answered Prayers isn't a creature, it becomes a 3/3 angel creature with flying in addition to other types until end of turn. So it basically becomes an enchantment angel. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's a common, kind of cool in that it's pauper legal. This is not going to break the world. It's, as you saw, it kind of combined both elements of what was it,
Johnny's Welcome
Johnny's
with
Welcome
Angel's
and
Tomb.
Angel's Tomb. It kind of smashes them together, makes the mana cost 3 white or 3 CMC. It's a common, so you're going to see this a couple times. We've seen a lot of decent smaller creatures so far, like that 1/1 Angel for 1.
Yep.
That would pair very hilariously with this. Now remember,
Angel Tribal, yo.
Yeah, now remember, this enters the... If you have extra mana, if you play this like on turn 4 or 5, and you have mana to play something else afterwards, keep in mind this will have Summoning Sickness because it entered the battlefield. So, Angel decks, there you go. You got some more flavor to yourself. Plus, you got Incidental Life Gain. This pairs incredibly well with... oh, God.
Are you thinking Astral Drift?
I'm thinking Archangel. The one from M14, the Archangel. The one that puts counters on gain life.
Oh, Archangel Thune.
Yeah, Archangel Thune loves this. So yeah, if you got an Angel deck, there you go. You got some gorgeous Seb McKinnon art to slam in there. For Pauper, I don't really know. I'm kind of more resident Pauper player of the bunch of us. I honestly don't know if this would see play in stuff like Boros Beatdown. Boros Bully being the kind of creature deck. I know Boros Monarch and Clotha Boros, however you want to call it, they do have a lot of things where they're bouncing their creatures back and forth to their hands with Core Skywalker and
Core Skyfisher.
Core Skyfisher and the Artifact Bird.
Oh, yeah, Glinthawk.
Yeah, Glinthawk. So there's a lot of kind of like weird bouncing things where this might actually just, if they're going up against Burn, maybe Cyborg card with an additional beater on the end of it. Potentially. If it doesn't ever see Pauper play, who cares? It's a really sweet little card for limited.
Yeah.
Definitely, I think it'll see... It might not be amazing for limited, but...
Yeah.
It's definitely not as open-ended as our last card, where it's like, oh my god, there's so many different angles. This is literally like... It's an enchantment. Honestly, it's a do-nothing when it enters a battlefield. However, it will gain you value over time if you can increase your ETB effects. Remember, tokens. If there's multiple token producers, every time a token hits the battlefield, you're gaining a trigger off of this. So there we go. Our Answer Prayers is our preview card for Modern Horizons. Now, John, I kind of cut you off on this one.
Yes.
Go for why you believe that we got this, and we'll see if Wizards can confirm nor deny our suspicions.
One of the reasons why I think we got this card was because of the fact that, if for those of you who know me, you know that or maybe follow me on Twitter or pay attention to other things. I was diagnosed with testicular cancer earlier this year, and this month I had my final chemo treatment. I also had the great news that I don't have any more signs of it, or at least it's going away. Still on observation or whatever, which really is just answered prayers for, all my family and friends who are, because it was not easy. It was not fun. There were some really good days and some really, really bad days. And I think that we got this card in particular because of that fact. And I don't know if Wizards will confirm nor deny it, but I feel like that is the case.
Yeah, it's definitely a great case, especially since not our post got deleted from Reddit. Yeah, they probably did delete it from Reddit because they're idiots.
Yeah, there's already 2 other ones up there as well, and I'm about to rage at the machine.
Yeah, mods deleting the actual people posting their card. That's why Reddit sucks. Sorry. Like, the MTG subreddit sucks in that, like, actual posters, we would actually have to keep an account on there. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, it's 1 in 9 roll. Anyway, but yeah, no, John and I know I'm very happy that, again, you got basically as clean a bill of health, I guess, as you can say.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. So, quite excellent that we got this card. I'm excited just because anytime we get to preview Magic card is really fun. This is our second
Yeah,
one.
being able to participate in the preview season is always awesome. And thank you, Wizards.
Yes.
They didn't have to give us this card for free.
Hashtag free.
Anything to get. They didn't have to give us a preview card, but we're really excited to be a part of the preview season with a card like Answered Prayers with amazing art, and definitely is a card that I think will be really fun to play in the draft format, with the green white being the creature fall colors, among other things.
Yeah, and I love that they call it creature fall. And like for that kind of that archetype,
fall.
Yeah, like anything where you're having creatures in the battlefield, this is gonna be great for it. So, and plus you get a 3/3 out of it too once it's past the turn it's played. Always fun. Plus, it dodges sorcery speed removal. So, all right.
Yes, it does dodge sorcery speed removal unless you have flash creatures. Watch out.
Oh yeah. Well, and unlike Johnny's welcome, and some of the Soul Sisters cards, the reason why we didn't put any of those is that's when whenever a creature enters the battlefield. Hold on, let me pull it up real quick. The card.
Yeah, it's
whenever a creature.
So those are Soul Sister and Soul Warden are both every.
Yeah, they look at everything. For us, like a Johnny's welcome, it's only creatures entered after under your control. I was kind of going for the fake out too with the Johnny shirt.
Yeah.
So Seb does some absolutely incredible art. Absolute pleasure to get a chance to ask him a couple questions and let him know that his card was coming out. Seb, you did it again. So thank you, everybody, and also hooray for John being not sick anymore.
I mean, I'm still seeing my oncologist every 3 months for the foreseeable future, but at least it's for a good reason, not a terrible reason.
Exactly. Yeah, and that is why we're all here. So, anywho, let's move on from our lovely, cool preview card, Answered Prayers, to some other cards that have come out since then. There has been some massive spice. There have been some cards that you're like, okay. And then there's been, the Magic community being like, this is great. This is not great. No, this is great. This is not great, depending on how it is. And honestly, let's see where the format shakes out.
Yeah, because Modern is going to be shaken up a little bit. Obviously, there's been some consternation about not all 249 or 59 cards, whatever it is, being Modern playable.
Or 255, sorry. 255 because we did get Flusterstorm as the...
Sure, 255. And they weren't all going to be Modern playable.
No.
That's not how Wizards make sets. Yes, they could try to make all 255 cards in a normal expansion playable, but that's not how Magic works. There's always going to be a better card. And even if in this set Wizards printed another really powerful, card, it might get either outshined by a card that already exists, or would outshine that other card, so suddenly that other card isn't playable. For example, let's say that for some reason, even though we know it's not in the set, Counterspell suddenly got previewed. Well, now Archmage's Charm and Exclude and the 3-mana one with Fateful Hour, those all suddenly become obsolete because Counterspell exists. So even though there's 4 cards that are all various degrees of Modern playable, with Exclude and the other one being, I think, the weaker of the two, suddenly Archmage's Charm looks embarrassing compared to Counterspell, when I could just be playing Counterspell despite Archmage's Charm's flexibility.
Right.
It's just there's not going to be all these powerful playable cards. And then on the other hand, if let's say that they printed Counterspell, Archmage's Charm, and then with Exclude and the other card spell, those all become Modern playable, then suddenly the cards that you already have in your decks that would already play those effects suddenly get obsolete, like Logic Knot or Mana Leak or all these other ones. And then now you're complaining to Wizards, why are you printing all these cards and obsoleting the cards in my deck? Yeah. Because they just can't print every card to be good in Modern.
Right.
And they make cards and sets for all different audiences.
And we already knew that this wasn't going to be just like, hey, we're injecting 255 cards in your format, have fun, go. They already announced that there was going to be some limited GPs. We knew it was going to be a set designed for limited. Like Wizards if Wizards are going to be like, all right, here's 50 cards to inject into your format, go. We would get something like one of these the Commander's Arsenal kind of products, or they would do some other kind of weird ancillary product. They wouldn't be like, here's 255 cards to upset your entire format, go. Because they would have to play design would have to literally just go through every kind of weird iteration of decks that all these cards would do and inject in the format. And I'm sure they didn't test modern decks. Like, I mean, I know they love playing modern, but they're not going to do that. But
Yeah.
so one of the cards is kind of cool, but probably won't see modern play, but has caused a whole bunch of commander cards to just people go, oh great, we have to deal with these players again. Is Slivers, the first Sliver?
The first Sliver, the first ever Sliver to have ever slivered to Sliver. It is Wooburg.
Yeah.
Jeez, because all the legendary Slivers are Wooburg. Legendary creature Sliver. It's a 7/7. It has Cascade. And Sliver spells you cast have Cascade. Thankfully, the Sliver spell you Cascade into won't also have Cascade because you won't just suddenly go all the way down the line.
That would be, thank God that was clarified early, because yikes, that would have stunk.
Yeah.
Like Cascade into a 4-drop, into a 3-drop, into a 2-drop, into a 1-drop.
Now, granted, if you hit the 1-drop first, you're just SOL because there's no free Slivers yet.
Yeah, true. Yet. But still, you could have chained it. Ugh.
Yeah. Just got to get lucky next time. So you land it, and then you, on your next turn, cast a 6-drop Sliver, and then you hit your 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, hopefully.
Oh my God, that would just be disgusting. Nope.
It would be, and you'd probably win that game.
Yeah, and that would get you hated out so quickly. And like, it's funny when this card was spoiled or previewed, and everybody was just like, oh, look at all the people build the Sliver decks. And it's like, man, if you play any kind of Sliver across the deck for me in your commander zone, you're instantly the target. I'm like, cool. The people who bring a Sliver deck to a commander table know what they're bringing to the table. Like, you don't bring a Sliver deck and expect to not get hated instantly. But this is actually really cool. I really do appreciate the fact that they're bringing Cascade in a weird way to Slivers. So cool. Next card that came out.
Yep.
Kind of fun and interesting.
Yeah.
Another Wooburg commander for you. But
Yep.
Mise, Weatherlight Captain. 2 and a white, 2/2 legendary creature human soldier. So the Mise Weatherlight Captain gets +1/+1 for each color among other legendary permanents you control. And for a Wooburg, you pay Wooburg to search your library for a legendary permanent card with converted mana cost less than Sise's power. Put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Now, John, this card did some weird stuff to the certain other cards' market price, just because. How Joda and Fist of Suns.
Yeah, no, that'll do.
So, how does that interaction work as a judge? Like listeners at home.
Well, Joda and Fist of Suns with Sisse doesn't do anything.
No, okay. What's the ones that do?
You're thinking of Morophon, which we already talked about.
Oh, right, we talked Morphon, right? No, so
I put Sisse on here because the previous Sisse card was only green-white. So if you wanted to play the Weatherlight crew, you couldn't play Tongarth or Squee or Urtai or anything like that.
All right, and she gets
Sisse is
she gets the band together.
Yeah, she's a true 5-color legendary matters commander. So, and granted, she can't get anything. Yeah, you can play the legacy weapon with Sisse, absolutely. This Sisse definitely a card where other cards that are already pretty expensive might go up a little bit more, like Reese the Redeemed is a 1-mana green-white legend. Well, Sisse can go fetch him and then give Sisse +2/+2. So now the next time you activate Sisse, you go get a 3 CMC legendary permanent and so on and so forth. So I think that she's really interesting as a toolbox commander for legends. That you can play Wooburg and tutor out your Dark Depths if you really want to. Yeah. You can pay Wooburg and get out your Heroes Podium. You can pay Wooburg and get out whatever other legendary permanent that you feel like you need to get. Like if you get Sisse up to 7 power, you can get Bolus's Citadel if you really want to. So there's a lot of things that you can do with Sisse that I think are really, really cool.
Yeah. And
being a toolbox card in Commander is already pretty good in and of itself.
Oh yeah, it's going to be interesting having any kind of not even just tutor effect to putting your hand on the library, just straight to the battlefield. Mm-hmm. Can be hilarious.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the next one we're gonna go to is not the Bear Queen herself, but her influence.
Yeah, Ayula's influence is a card that when I saw it, I immediately pegged it. I was like, Ursine Assault, because this is a riff off of Seismic Assault. It's green, green, green for a rare enchantment. Discard a land card, create a 2/2 green bear creature token. It's the same rate as Seismic Assault, because Seismic Assault is discard a land, deal 2 damage to any target. But this time it just happens to be you make a bear. Obviously, not as good as Seismic Assault because you can't hit your swans to draw some cards. Shout outs to you, Saffron Olive.
Hit swans,
But
draw
it
a card.
is, yeah, hit the swans, draw some cards. But I think that it is something that could spawn off a similar deck to like Zombie Hunt, or is something that could see play in Modern. It has the right pedigree. It's just I don't think it is going to because
Bears.
you're making creatures instead of dealing damage, which makes it immediately worse than Seismic Assault. And then at the same time, it's kind of worse than Zombie Infestation because it's 3 mana, not 2 mana. So it's
slower.
It's a little slow. So we'll see. I think it's going to be a lot of fun in Limited, and I think it's also going to be a lot of fun in like Commander.
Yeah,
whether you play with Ayula or not, it's just going to be fantastic. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's definitely a card where they were like looking to explore some design space.
And also, they've just been making a ton of references in this set. Like this card is clearly a reference to Seismic Assault. It's clearly in Pie for green. I think it's hilarious.
And plus, green has a lot of ways to return land cards to your hand. Like all of a sudden, you're just looking at Life from the Loam with this thing, and you're just like, yeah. You're just
absolutely.
Like, bloop, 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 bloop. So you just make all the bears, the 3 bears every turn, basically. If you're just looping Life from the Loam and this, whether or not Bear Loam is going to be a thing. Who knows?
I would love to see a deck called Bear Loam.
It's cheeky
love
and fun.
to see a deck called Bear Loam.
So
next we have
the person
thankfully previewed in the same day is Ayula Queen Among Bears. Ian, what does Ayula do?
So the Bear of Bears. Ayula Queen Among Bears is a 1 in a green 2/2 legendary creature bear, a literal, actual, factual bear in mana. Like the whole like grid of like mana cost plus it's like that whole like where does it fall? Like
it's definitely lawful good on the
on the bear scale.
It's either lawful good or neutral good on the bear alignment scale.
Yeah, the bear alignment scale. It's an actual bear, but that's not all she does. Because why would we have a legendary creature bear at rare if it's just a bear? But whenever another bear enters the battlefield under your control, hint hint, Ayla's influence, wink nudge, put 2 +1/+1 counters on target bear, or target bear you control fights target creature you don't control.
Now, there's already a couple of other bears in the set. Like there's a common bear called Mother Bear, but also because of changelings, those are also all bears. So those count for Ayula. And as an example, there's a 2 and a black 2/2 Death Touch changeling, which if it comes into play, the Scorpion, you can just have it fight some other creature, and then it's going to trade because it has Death Touch.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a lot of things that Ayula's not just a commander card. I think she's also going to be interesting to play in Limited with all these changelings.
And speaking of Commander, actually, Graham from Loading Ready Run of fame Bear Force 1 fame actually made Bear Force 1 and will be playing it on an upcoming game nights. I'm looking forward to seeing that. That should be fun. Apparently, like
it's going to be a lot of fun.
And so what was it? Goreclaw was the 4/2?
Yeah, Gore.
Yeah, Goreclaw was the 4/2. Everyone's like, oh, that's not an actual bear. It's a 4/2. It's like, well, it's a Tarkirian bear. There's a bear and a Tarkirian bear.
Bears.
Tarkir bears are 4/2s.
Yeah,
Bear bears are 2/2s.
They're just a little beefier, that's all.
They had to. They had to fight dragons, man.
Yeah, they got to fight.
I fight dragons. I'm a 4/2. Anyway, next up. Return of a mechanic that nobody thought they'd see coming, but they changed it slightly. John, what's this one?
So Splicer's skill is the 2 flavor combinations I never. It is 2 and a white for a uncommon sorcery. It says create a 3/3 colorless golem artifact creature token. Clearly Phyrexian based on the art and based on the effect, and then the fact that there were the Splicers in New Phyrexia. But it also has splice onto instant or sorcery for 3 and a white. So how splice works is as you cast the splice onto ability, you may reveal this card from your hand and pay its splice cost. If you do, add this card's effects to that spell. So back in Kamigawa, it was spliced onto Arcane, and Arcane was a subtype of instant sorceries. Here, Splicer's skill is how Mark Rosewater said he would fix splice onto Arcane and just have it splice onto any instant or sorcery. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah, because the whole thing with splicing to Arcane is that it became a very parasitic mechanic where you needed a lot of Arcane spells. And people never really would pay the splice mechanic unless you're looking at something like Through the Breach, Splice, Goryo's Vengeance. Weird.
So like the best ways, the most common ways you see Splice now is when they cast Nourishing Shoal with Goryo's Vengeance spliced onto it to fight counter spells. And then in Storm, sometimes you'll splice a Desperate Ritual onto a Desperate Ritual.
Yeah, which
And
gets
the big
weird.
weirdness to remember about Splice is that it adds that card's effects to the bottom of the spell. So let's say you, for some reason, had 8 mana and you cast Wrath of God and you splice your skill onto it. You would destroy all creatures and then make a 3/3.
Which, order of operations,
Yeah,
pretty good.
which is pretty good. The splice cost is a lot. And also, by the way, this would technically work with Storm, but Storm is not going to play this card to splice it onto a Grave Shot.
Mm-mm. Then you have to go into white.
Yeah, I mean, we have Manamorphose, so we can make white pretty easily for now, I guess. Wizards. But we're not interested in Splicer skill for that type of effect. It's cute. It's, it's a really cool take on a mix of, Splice into Arcane from Kamigawa, Splicers from New Fricks, and putting them together. So I think it's a really cool reference, and the fact that Splice came back in this way is really cool. I really hope we see it again, although I'm afraid that the Splice costs would be like insanely high because of how crazy you can technically make Splice cards if you put the wrong effect on them. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's definitely something that'll come down the road. So anyway, next up on the list is a snake.
It's a snake.
It's a mythic snake for 1 mana. It's got level up. Level up is back. So for those who don't know what level up is, so the card is Hex Drinker. It's a green creature snake at mythic rare. It's a 2/1, so it's a piker, but it has level up of 1. And the reminder text is you pay 1, put a level counter on this. Level up only as a sorcery. So at levels 3 to 7, so you basically have to pay anywhere from 3 to 7 mana. It becomes a 4/4 with protection from instants. And that
now you can pay that over any number of turns.
Correct. Yeah, but you can pay like 3. You can pay 3 mana into it, or you play it on 1, pass a turn. Play another land, tap 2, make it level 2. Then next turn you play another land, tap some more. Then it's now level 5.
Yeah,
and
that's if you're using your entire turn for the first 3 turns of the game doing this.
Right, but if you hit level 8, you get protection from everything on a 6/6. So
it is literally a Progenitus. If you pay a lot of mana.
We actually did see some ramp cards today. There is the Llanowar Tribe that Dana previewed. I don't have it pulled up, but it is a green 3/3 that taps for green. So turn 1 can do this. Turn 2 level it up you can level it up and then start chunking things out.
Yeah. By the way, I really wish that the Llanowar Tribe had snow mana in its cost, because then it would be a card that would cost GGs.
I hate you. Sometimes.
I know.
So next on the list is Renin 6. This is our other Planeswalker from the set. We had seen the art a while back on the initial Modern Horizons, I guess, unveiling stream is what you want to call it, by Wizards.
Yeah, when they revealed Sarah and Ball Therapist, they had this in the background, and people were thinking, oh, that's when Multani imprisoned Urza in a tree. And it turns out, nope, this is a new character.
Two, technically.
Two, technically. And according to Tom Ross, Ren is the dude, and 6 is the mech-like tree folk, and this is the 6th one, which is weird. But Ren 6 is the second 2-mana Planeswalker, I guess 3rd if you really want to count Jason's Prodigy. He is red-green for a 3 loyalty legendary Planeswalker. N is a +1, return up to 1 target land card from your graveyard to your hand. -1, and Ren 6 deals 1 damage to any target. And then -7, you get an emblem with instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard have retrace. So it's quite literally the land Planeswalker.
Yeah, of all the cards that we've talked about so far today, this is probably the one that will have the most constructed implications so far. In not just Modern, but also Legacy.
Yeah, because that's almost exactly what Legacy wants. It wants something to deal with small threats from other decks.
Yeah.
Like being able to ping down a Delver before it flips, maybe being able to come down before the White Weenie player plays a Thalia or whatever, or being able to deal with the Mother of Runes if the lands player's on the play. And then also, if you ever get to that ultimate in lands and you're able to use like Retrace to cast your Life from the Loams, or use Retrace to cast your Gambles,
Mm-mm.
That
Man,
seems really good.
you could just go off at that point. And like,
Yeah.
what's really ridiculous about this, what I thought with Legacy, is that the +1 of return up to one target land card from graveyard to your hand. Like, all right, so first of all, this is a 2-mana planeswalker. Once it sticks, you if there's nothing on the board, you just take it up and it's at 4. So you have a
Yes.
4 loyalty planeswalker to deal with on technically your turn 2 or turn 3. Have fun killing
Yeah,
these.
I don't think there's any cards that cleanly answer it if it's at 4 mana and if you're either if you're on the if you've been on if you're on the draw from the player who's playing Ren and 6. If you're on the play, there's a lot of cards like there's Assassin's Trophy, Abrupt Decay. Direct damage is going to be hard to deal with it unless they tick down and try to deal with like Athalia or some other X1 on your side of the board. It's going to be very hard to remove for a lot of decks especially if it's a clean board.
And it'll be interesting to see if Legacy has any kind of weird, if the mana base needs to change. I mean, they don't have red green because usually they're playing Punishing Loam would love this card.
Yeah, I mean the lands decks are usually red green anyways because they want to play Gamble Loam.
Sometimes you see green black, but fun thing that also might be in this one is Modern would be some of the Valakut decks would love this.
Yeah.
They're not
Titan
going to
Shift
be
apparently would be interested.
Yeah, they're not going to -1 this a whole lot, but retracing your packs.
I think it's more so just to make sure that if your opponent great like Ghost Quarters or otherwise destroys your Valakut, you can get it back.
Yeah, like in the mirror, in the control.
Yeah, because there's not a lot of X1s floating around. I mean, I guess Ren and 6 is very good against humans out of the deck because they go, turn 1, Champion of the Parish, you go Ren and 6, kill it. Or you go turn 1, Noble Hierarch, Ren and 6, kill it. Ren and 6 is very good at shooting down the small humans, but a lot of the other creatures that see play in the format are a little beefier than the -1. And I think Ren and 6's big value is going to be rebuying fetch lands in Modern, maybe rebuying a Field of Ruin or a Ghost Quarter. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where you see Ren and 6 hit the battlefield. If you've dealt with a troublesome land or spell land or whatever land on the other side of the battlefield, you now have to deal with it again. And you probably don't have a way to rebuy that land that, Wasteland. Ha, gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And also the fact that Ren and 6 can just act like a pseudo Crucible of Worlds, being able to pick up one of your lands from your graveyard is also going to be punishing in any decks that can abuse that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, in limited functionality, if you happen to get Ren and 6 and Iola's Influence, there you go. Discard a land, return it back to your hand. You literally just keep that loop going and make a bear every turn. It's how it makes blockers, but it's kind of weird and janky. Plus, how do you go red-green into green-green-green?
In limited, that's going to be very difficult.
Yeah, especially with
very difficult.
I mean, you would need to have one of the. I don't even think we have red-green. Red-green wasn't one of
the.
No,
we do not have a red-green canopy land.
Yeah,
or Horizon land.
It's going to be weird.
This card, however, I'm excited to play in Cube. Not sure about if it's going to be good in Modern, but Winds of Abandon is a bonkers card, Ian. What the heck does it do?
So this is very much on flavor for you. It's 1 and a white. People are saying this might replace Deckenstone.
That's what I'm doing, at least.
Declaration Stone. So sorcery at rare. Exile target creature you don't control. For each creature exiled this way, its controller searches their library for a basic land card. Those players put those cards onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle their libraries. And it has Overload, which is from the Ravnica blocks.
Mm-hmm. RTR.
RTR block. So 4 white, Overload cost. You may cast a spell for its Overload cost. So you can pay 1 and a white to do 1 target creature, or Overload to change its text by replacing all instances of target with each. So instead of exile target creature, exile each creature you don't control. For 6 mana, this is very flexible as either a single target, basically 2 mana path to exile at sorcery speed, but with the flexibility of being a one-sided board wipe later on if you want it to.
Yeah, I could see this being played in Modern out of in blue-white control because, I mean, they're still going to play Path, but sometimes you need something that can deal with one permanent, and you don't want to Terminus. Like, you'll draw your card for turn, you'll see Terminus, and you'll go, I don't want to Terminus now. Whereas Winds of Abandon gives you the flexibility of being able to be a single answer to one target that may be hard to remove. And then let's say it gets to the late game and you're playing against humans or something else and they've built out a wide board. They have already got a meddling mage on Terminus. You just go, okay, Overload Winds of Abandoned, and then basically exile their whole board because humans doesn't play that many basics.
Yeah, and like John just mentioned, not a lot of some modern decks are very skimp on basics. I know Infect plays 3 at most, depending on the list, maybe 2.
Yeah, people were talking about Bant Infect, and it's like I don't know how you're fitting all those colors in.
Oh my god, yeah, like playing Teferi and Bant Infect, I was just like, what? I didn't get it. But no, this card absolutely punishes modern decks that skimp on the basic lands, and a lot of them do. Of them do. Like Tron runs, I think, what, 4 or 5 forests only,
something like that. But it's still, they play more than you expect.
Yeah, Tron is actually the one that actually plays more basics than you think it would, just because it needs to hit that green mana to keep its.
Eldrazi Tron is the one that plays maybe like 3 to 4 wastes. So if you can Blood Moon them and then get all their wastes out of the way, they can't cast any of their.
Grixis Death Shadow only plays like a swamp and a island. So if you deal with 2 creatures, already they're humped, and and they're already very short on mana anyway. Yeah, it's a crazy card. The next one we kind of mentioned this earlier. It's Archmage's Charm.
Yeah,
John.
It is you. What's this? Instant at rare. It says choose one. Counter target spell. Target player draws 2 cards, or gain control of target non-land permanent with converted mana cost 1 or less. First up, pretty sure this isn't a cycle. There's a lot of one-off cards in this set that I don't think are full cycles in the set, and this is one of them.
Yeah. Initially,
like as an example,
initially you see charms. You're like, ooh, charm. That used to be a cycle. This is gonna be a cycle.
I don't think it's gonna. I would love to see the cycle finished, but I don't think it's a cycle here. Like, for example, we saw two of the allied swords of X and Y in this set. We're not going to talk about them here, but those will be finished later probably. But Archmage's Charm, it's not counterspell. It's very, very, I think it's still very flexible and very good because it's a 3-mana divination at instant speed, which is pretty above rate. 3-mana cancel is not ideal in Modern, but with this flexibility, it's pretty good. And in Modern specifically, the mind control of a 1 CMC permanent, or 1 CMC non-land permanent isn't great because, like, you don't want to take a Chalice of the Void because that doesn't do anything. You don't really want to take, like, any of the 1 or 0 mana artifacts, really. And there's not a ton of 1 mana threats that you're going to feel comfortable taking for 3 mana unless it's trying to kill you, like maybe a huge Champion of the Parish or what have you.
Snag it Aether Vial for some reason.
Yeah, but the decks that are playing Archmage's Charm aren't going to want to use Aether Vial.
Right. Well, that's why. Yeah. Okay. People, if you're listening, couldn't see my face. Like, snag an Aether Vial. I did the yuck face.
In Legacy, on the other hand, being able to take a Merit Lage, that seems pretty good.
Oh no!
I'm not going to kill you. I'm not going to die to Merit Lage. You're going to die to Merit Lage.
Some nice work you did there.
Yeah, and then the Alliance player just gets back their Dark Depths, makes another one, and now suddenly you have 2 Merit Lages staring at each other.
Boom, boom, boom. But the best part is, though, is if you do end up in that situation where it's Merit Lage versus Merit Lage, and it's got lifelink, right?
Merit Lage, no, it's just indestructible and flying.
Literally just bounce off of each other. So you're like, all right, how does this game end? It can't. You basically take
whoever attacks second wins. So,
are you going to attack second though?
No. Well, if you attack first, you block and then you kill them.
Yeah,
because they attacked and they don't have a flying blocker. But regardless, it's one of those things that's just kind of like, oh,
it's that stare down. It's like, who's going to blink first?
Now this is a card that neither of us are going to get blown out by, but there's a lot of people who will.
For instance, good old Ben Wheeler of Canadian Highlander fame, Ben Wheeler, saw this like, why do you hate me, Wizards? Why do you hate me?
I have a similar question, but we're not talking about those cards today.
Oh, the anti-storm cards? Those are great and beautiful.
This card is Collector Oof. Ian, what does the Oof do?
It is a 1 and a green 2/2 creature Oof. I thought it was Oafy, but whatever. It's a rare. It is active. It says it just has activated abilities of artifacts can't be activated. It's literally.
It's a null creature for Null Rod.
Yeah.
On a bear. Well, an Oof.
Isn't the same thing? Basically,
Kitchen Finks is also an Oof.
Stony Silence.
It is also Stony Silence. Yes.
It's Stony Silence with legs, as people like to say. I mean, people say on a stick, but this is a creature.
It's also literally a Null Rod on a stick too, but
it actually
Null Rod did technically come first, but
Well, it alludes to the null rod though in the
yes,
flavor text of he steals power from treasure after treasure, and what does it do for the oath? Nothing.
yeah,
Which it's definitely a null rod. Wink
definitely a null
nudge
rod nod.
with
Yeah,
Joyra giving the flavor text on that one, but
yeah. The oof is going to see play in modern. If there's any green decks that want it, like it's not a spirit, so spirits aren't like automatically going to play it. It's not a human, so humans aren't automatically going to play.
Coco combo
Don't be
might.
silent. Coco combo might. If you have access to something like Finale of Devastation or Court of Calling, the oof is fantastic. It's a very, very powerful card.
You can tutor it up with what's it called? Chord for it.
Yes, I mentioned Court. Now, I think oof is going to do a lot of his work in Vintage because that's where the Null Rod and Stony Silence effect is really, really good.
Put some legs on it too.
Yeah,
go to town.
Because removal almost doesn't exist in that format.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous.
Legacy, maybe a little bit might show up.
You put a 2/2 down in Vintage, you could just be like 2.
Yeah,
Snap
there's a reason why Young Pyromancer was the best creature in that format.
And Snapcaster Mage too. It's just like
yeah.
It's funny how 2 is a very relevant number in that format. But so the next one is one we've seen before, but getting its first ever non-foil printing. Kess Dissident Mage.
Yeah.
So Kess Dissident Mage. That's the one blue, black, and red. So 1 in a Grixis. 3/4 human wizard legendary creature at Mythic Rare with flying. We saw this in one of the Commander sets. It was Commander 2017.
It was the Tribal one, 2017. Yes.
Yeah. I remember because I was out in the desert when it got revealed, and I was like, oh, gotta buy all the wizards. During each of your turns, you may cast an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard. If a card cast this way will be put in your graveyard, exile instead. So basically, you give selective flashback.
Yeah. Once on your turns, not on your opponent's turn, so your counter spells aren't necessarily going to be able to be flashbacked off of Kess.
Yeah.
But having access to, things like hand attack, like Thoughtseize, or burn spells like Lightning Bolt, that's where Kess is going to shine. The real question is anybody going to cast Cruel Ultimatum off of Kess? Because that's what I want to see. Yeah. That's the world I want to live in with Kess.
People were saying Grixis Tap Out Control is basically where this card would want to see something. Honestly, this card, modern, maybe? Who knows? But Kess has seen play in Legacy.
Yeah.
And what's great is this Kess also had the trouble, I guess you can say, of what we've seen recently with Nexus of Fate.
Foils, yeah.
Nexus of Fate of being basically Kess Dissident Mage will be written on a forest. Because Kess only had the commander printing, which is in foil, and it was not a great foil printing, and it tacoed, and you could easily just cut to Kess every time in your deck if you didn't have a properly flattened out copy of the card. So
yeah, which is sad, but that's the world we live in.
Now we get a non-foil copy.
They're fixing it.
I'm happy, and we kind of addressed this last week where they've moved away from buy box promos being just that too, which is thank God.
Anyway, we'll see if that's going forward as well. I'm crossing my fingers, but we'll see.
We'll see. Anyway, Kaya's Guile, John. What is this?
I hate this card.
Tell me why you hate this card.
It is 1 white-black for an instant rare. It says choose 2. Each opponent sacrifices a creature. Exile all cards from each opponent's graveyard. Create a 1/1 white and black spirit creature token with flying. You gain 4 life. So it's already a command in Orzhov, which, again, I would love this to be a cycle that's completed in the set. I don't think it is. But it also has Entwine for 3, where it says, choose all if you pay the Entwine cost. So it's a command, which we're familiar with from like Cryptic Command and Kolaghan's Command, Otarka's Command, Primal Command, and so on. But you also have just the option, if you have extra mana laying around, to entwine it and just do all of them.
Yeah, so
just do all 4
for 6 mana, as long as one is a white and one is a black, you can just make them sack it. And remember, order of operations is important. So they sacrifice the creature goes to the yard. Then they exile that card and everything else from the graveyard. Then you create a spirit token, and then you gain 4 life.
Yeah. So Kaya's Guile I dislike because it is a very efficient answer for Storm. Because if let's say that I'm on the draw and I play my creature on turn 2 and I say go, and I already have a decent graveyard, and then you play your 3rd land and say go, and then I get ready to go off, and then I cast Past in Flames, and then you go, by the way, Kaya's Guile, exile your creature and exile your graveyard. That is not fun. or you just cast it like ahead of time. If I've already got a decent graveyard, and just go like on your turn, tap out Kaya's Guile, sack your Brawl, exile your graveyard.
Yeah,
it just does a lot of good things. Now, granted, it only makes 1/1/1, but it's also doing all these other things that make it really, really flexible and really, really powerful.
Yeah.
Granted, in very specific instances.
I honestly believe that the first two options are going to be the most picked option.
I could see. I think I agree. I also think that there's going to be times where the player who casts this is going to, like, let's say you're playing Esper Control, and your opponent's playing something like a Grizzlebrand deck or whatever, and they have two attackers and they attack, and you go, okay, I'm going to make you sacrifice a creature, and I'm going to make a 1/1. Or you're playing against Burn and you're at 6, and they attack with 2 creatures, and you go, make a 1/1 gain for life. There's going to be times where you're going to choose the different modes that are highly contextual on your hand, on the game that's going on your opponent's hand, what's gone on. It just, this card does so much that I think that it's going to see play. How much is questionable. It could be a main deck card, more than likely it's a sideboard card, but it's just very, very good.
Yeah, it's a very, very fun and interesting card. Very flexible, like most commands are, except it's not a command, which is kind of weird. I would have loved to have seen like Kaya's command. It would have been hilarious, but
yeah,
I
would have loved for it to say command as well, but I'm okay with it saying Kaya's Guile. Yeah. And also, the reason why people are thinking it's a cycle, we're not talking about them, but the talismans for the enemy colors are in the set, and each of them has flavor text from a different planeswalker.
Yeah.
The red-white one has flavor text from Huatli, green-black from Vraska, black-white from Kaya, blue-green from Tamio, and red from Ral. So that's why people are thinking it's a cycle. Again, I don't think it's a cycle in the set. I wish it were, but
yeah,
I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this being a long-going cycle they finish.
Yeah, so because remember, we aren't getting necessarily master sets like you can see if you're watching the video. Behind me, I have one of every master set currently printed. Horizon kind of sets are going to be where they're going to go for the foreseeable future in terms of injecting cards in the formats that they can't put in the standard, or there's too many cards to put in the commander product. So the next card, it does something is what
it does is questionable.
So we mentioned Null Rod before, and the funny part about Null Rod is it does nothing. It does nothing. This card does something, but you don't even know what.
It will always do something.
But you don't know what that something is.
Whether it does something good is questionable.
So it's Throes of Chaos, 3 in a red, sorcery at uncommon. It says Cascade and Retrace. That's it. Cascade.
Ye old 2-word rules text, 65-word reminder text.
Because you have to have like the 40 words for Cascade, which is you basically cast this. Exile cards from top of your library until you exile a non-land card that costs less, so 3 or less mana. You may cast without paying its mana cost. Put the exile cards on the bottom of your library in random order, and then Retrace. You just play from your graveyard by discarding a land in addition to paying 4 mana. Sure, if you really, really wanted to ditch some lands, go right ahead. This is just a weird card. I'm happy it exists.
There's a reason why it costs 4, because if they cost it at 3, then suddenly Living End has a repeatable cascade into Living End. I also think I don't think this card is going to be playable in Modern. If it is, you did it. Good job.
Congrats.
I think this is going to be a really fun card for Commander, and I'm going to draft this card at some point while playing this set. And I'm just going to cross my fingers every time, and it's going to be interesting. It is one of the most chaotic red cards I've ever seen, too.
It's such perfect flavor for something like Yidris.
Yeah. Now, granted, Yidris won't cascade it from the graveyard, but...
Right, but Yidris deck, if you want to just go full flavor on like Cascade, like there you go. You have a literal card that just cascades.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
Now, speaking of cycles that have finally ended, didn't mean that, but that works.
Hey.
We have Endling, which is the black Morphling. It is 2 black for a 3/3 zombie shapeshifter at rare. It has black : it gains menace till end of turn. Black : it gains death touch till end of turn. Black : it gains undying till end of turn. And 1 generic mana : it gets +1/-1 or -1/+1 until end of turn. It is the finale of the Morphling cycle that was Morphling, Torchling, Thornling from Shards of Alara, and Brightling from Battle Bond. Now, Thornling is the only one of the cycle that doesn't have the mirrored art, which hopefully they fix at some point.
Right.
But Endling is really interesting. The fact that its protection ability is Undying means that its final ability can suddenly make it go even bigger than it normally can. Now, unfortunately, its protection ability doesn't save it a ton because you can't Undying it again unless you have a way of removing the counter. But Endling is a very interesting card. I don't think it will see modern play. I think it's a card that's for cubes and commander, and I'm really happy that it exists.
Kitchen table zombie decks are gonna love this card.
Yes, it's going to be really hard to get rid of, and people are going to be really upset when they can't kill it.
Yeah.
There's also what you can do is you can Undying it. Let's say someone Swords of Plowshares it, you go Undying and then pay 3 mana, give it +3/-3, so it dies and comes back as a 4/4. Which is spicy.
You think you killed it? Nope, I killed it. I just dumped a bunch of mana into it, but I killed it
anyway. You
don't
kill my creatures. I kill my creatures.
It's like, no, I did this. So the next one is we're getting some really weird, funky corner cards for our last couple ones coming up. But Dead of Winter, is 2 and a black sorcery at rare.
Yep.
All non-snow creatures get -X/-X until end of turn, where X is the number of snow permanents you control. With some beautiful throwback flavor text from Tavesh Zot.
Also, how Game of Thrones should have ended. Wow. But, that's neither here nor there. Dead of Winter is definitely one of the big payoffs for the snow deck. Mm-hmm. And this alongside the other card we're going to talk about, On Thin Ice, which is white for a snow enchantment or at rare, enchant snow land you control. When On Thin Ice enters the battlefield, exile target creature and opponent controls until On Thin Ice leaves the battlefield. Kind of a functional reprint of Chain to the Rocks.
Yeah.
These are real snow payoffs, much like Skred that currently exists in Modern, that will really make people ask the question, should I play Snow Basic? Should I play more snow creatures? Because also previewed today is, I believe, a card, I don't know its English translation, but Frost Golem, which is a snow artifact creature golem. It's a 2/2 for a single snow mana.
Yes.
Because there ain't no mana like snow mana. And then there's Arkham's Astrolabe, which is a 1 snow mana for a snow artifact, which is a Prophetic Prism. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card. You can pay 1 and tap it to make 1 mana of any color. Both of these are cards alongside like Ice Coatl and then these two that are really trying to push you to be playing more snow cards. And I'd have to do some research into Cold Snap to see exactly how many snow cards are playable. Right now, there's 5 snow duels, which enter the battlefield, tap and tap for the allied colors. I don't know if that makes a black-red Skred deck, or as I'm going to call it, Bloody Skred is good with like Dead of Winter plus Skred.
Yeah.
Or if there's some other strategies that are going to start playing more snow lands to accommodate On Thin Ice, because like On Thin Ice doesn't have to go on a basic. It can go on a Dark Depths if you really wanted to. You're probably better off putting it on a Snow Plains, but you have that option.
Yeah, it's definitely a case of, like we were talking before stream, 8-rack might be something, but they're kind of already constrained. Like you said, they have 8 lands that are already accounted for 4 Mutavaults and 4 Urborg. So
now that said, there was a land last Frostwalk Bastion, which is a snow land that taps for colorless, and then for 1 in a snow, it becomes a 2/3.
Yeah.
And then whenever it deals combat to a creature, tap that creature and doesn't untap. Maybe they could replace Mutavault with Frostwalk Bastion, but Frostwalk Bastion costs 2 mana to activate, one of which has to be snow, whereas Mutavault is very easily just 1, and Mutavault gets to go in and pressure the opponent pretty early. So there is flexibility there, and there is the ability to play these snow payoffs. And it's just going to be really interesting to see people try to solve that puzzle, to look at these cards like Dead of Winter, which could be a one-sided, Wrath of God in many instances, and see if it's worth it or not.
Yeah, and I think honestly, with where we were looking at Modern, everyone's like, oh, it's not going to be overpowered. Oh, it's like, it's honestly going to say, okay, we've got some interesting new spice to add to maybe pre-existing decks. Like, this is definitely like that spice where a deck that's kind of outside fringe. Tom Ross loves 8-rack. It's well known.
It is known.
I mean, I would not. He was one of the designers on Modern Horizons. I would not put it past him to have tried these in a snow rack deck.
Speaking of decks that Tom Ross loves.
Hey, this is gonna be our last one. I put this one on there because of me. It's Scale Up.
Yeah. So on the SCG live stream today, I was watching it. Todd, it was either Todd Ross or Jerry. They were talking about Scale Up, and they were like, "Yeah, Todd Ross designed some cards for 8-rack, and then in Infect puts them in Modern Horizons, and then leaves to go play Pro Tours again." It's like, ooh.
So Scale Up is a green, just a single green mana, but sorcery at uncommon, saying until end of turn, target creature you control becomes a green worm with base power and toughness 6/4. It does have overload. Remember, it's you may cast it if each creature you control then becomes a worm. Nobody's paying overload cost in Modern with this card.
Not in Constructed. In Limited, make your whole team 6/4s and crunch. People will fear you.
Oh yeah, this is like a really hilarious, not quite overrun, but just make them swole.
It's overrun-ish.
Yeah, it pumps as much as if you have a bunch of bears. If you've played a bunch of bears off of Iola's Influence, you made those 2/2s into 6/4s. But anyway, this is basically being used as green. Give +5/+3 to target infect creature because it does not lose infect. Infect stays on the card. It becomes a 6/4 infecting worm, where this can turn to so much better. Will it see Legacy play?
Able to turn 2 kill.
I think so. Maybe not. No, we have other stuff in Legacy, but Modern, in fact, I can definitely see this maybe punting out 1 or 2 of the Groundswells.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because
you still want a +4/+4 trick though. That way that you get the turn 2 kill.
Yeah, but it's either Blossoming Defense goes, but we want the Hex.
You probably are cutting Become Immense for this card.
Maybe 1 Become Immense.
Well, I don't know Infect as well as you do.
Here's the thing too.
It definitely feels like a card
that I haven't touched in a while. I honestly was never a fan of Groundswell. So my first inclination would be 2 Groundswell, 2 Scale Up, or maybe 3 Groundswell, 2 Scale Up, 2 Become Immense. I was also never a fan of the 3 Become Immense decks. I just played it because everyone else was doing it. So
I'm sure people are already working on that as we.
Top men.
Who do you have on it? Top men.
So for those of you who came in late, welcome. Got to kill all these other cards out of the way first.
Yeah, let's go back to our preview card. Answered Prayers. Thank you, Wizards, for bringing us this card or letting us preview this card. It's a fun card. I really enjoy it. Also, Seb, you killed it. Yeah. It was fantastic.
Thanks so much to Seb for answering our questions. Also, if we have on our, was it the Podbean account or the WordPress Podbean?
On eyesonthemise.podbean.com, one of the top posts should be right now, as of 7:25 Central Standard Time on May 28th. The top post should be an interview with Seth. I'll post the link on Twitter here shortly.
Yeah. So also coming up, it might be a good thing. We kind of pseudo have a Patreon for the podcast now.
Yeah, we're not live yet.
It's like on a soft launch. I started it before so back in May, beginning of May, on the 7th, they changed it to where we got I just wanted to get us grandfathered in under the old Patreon payout rules. So we're in there because we're also on a break for health reasons and other stuff, work stuff, life stuff.
Ian's planning a wedding.
Yeah, weddings are, oh my God, 68 days, dude. 68 days. Oh my God. No, so we've got that launched. We'll probably be rolling it out officially in the next month or so. Just if you guys want to help chip in.
If you want to send us ideas for what you want to see out of potential tier levels, we have some ideas we've been banding back and forth. But if you have any ideas or recommendations, let us know. And if you can find it, which shouldn't be that hard, and you want to chip us a couple of bucks, that'd be great. It would mostly help offset
server host,
basically server hosting costs.
We're really not looking to like make some bank off of this. We just, if you guys
wouldn't hurt, but at the same time,
look, we got to start somewhere, right? And starting somewhere is getting revenue neutral.
Yes.
But we do appreciate Wizards again. Thank you very much for this very free preview card. Thank you, everybody who tuned into the live stream, and also thank you to people listening after the fact. Please do check out all of our stuff in terms of where we've posted it.
But, so, Ian, if people wanted to find you on places, where can they do so?
Well, I mean, you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Dix. If you're watching this live, congratulations. You found it already. Feel free to give the channel a follow. I haven't looked to see if people followed the stream yet.
Or sub, who knows?
I did have a new follower today. Hot dang. The insanity. Thank you very much. But also follow on Twitter at DixonIJ. That's DIXONIJ. I tweet about sports, magic, and other weird, ridiculous stuff. It's a mess. But it's my mess. So deal with it. John, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at JWiley129. That's JWILE. I know. No, less than a third of your. No, it's about a third of your tweets.
I have
10% of your tweets.
96.
You're 90K. Tweets. I just hit 9K.
Yeah.
I have 10% of your tweets.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. You can also find me on Twitch at the same handle. If you see me in a chat room, don't hesitate to say hi. If you want to reach the podcast, you can do so in one of two ways. You can find us on Twitter at Eyes on the Mise, which if you have been retweeting our account, you already know where to find it. You can also send us a personal email at eyesonthemise@gmail.com. We would love to hear how we can best improve the podcast for you, our lovely listeners. On behalf of Ian, I'm John. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you all next